All right, we're about to put the motor and transmission back in the Nova. So here we go. Rocky, why don't you go up there and hold that transmission? Hold it straight while we go in with it. Let me tie a rope or something on it. Lower it down a little bit. A little bit. Get it on back there. Just making sure all my wires and stuff are out of the way. Centered up in there. Send it down a little bit. It's working it in there. Alright. Back. The only reason I got it sitting so high like that is for my transmission. Tail house. Back. Oh. Okay, we're up over it. So we're good. And we're Rocky, we're good. Okay? Yep, thanks for looking out for me over there. Let me know when we're good. Going back with it some more. Slightly off. Center there. Pretty good so far. There it goes. I built a landing pad for my mid plate. Show you what I'm talking about. See it right there? And my mid plate slides on it. It's kind of makes it easy. And I built kind of a ramp here where it slides on top of that. Kind of locks in like a puzzle piece. So unless you're trying to, you can't mess it up. So pretty much where it goes. Alright, slide it on back. Just like that, and she is home. Try to make sure all my bolts are lining up. Bolt holes. Good. All right. That's all there is to it, guys. We now have an LS and a Nova. On top of my expert rigging. We're good. Okay, so that's about it, y'all. far as that goes, you can see we got our plate lined up right there. Back there, it's all lined up good. So I guess now the next step, we're gonna pet Rocky. Okay. That's why I don't pet you much. You take it personal. You get pretty excited about it. You like petting, don't you? Okay. Look. Rocky, get on. Now we gotta get under there and put our this thing on. We gotta put this doohickey on there. I'm gonna do that before I bolt in the put the bolts in this thing. Like I said, it's sitting in there where it goes. All I gotta do is put some bolts on it. Right here, I just wanna check all these. Make sure everything's in here good. Yep, it's the first time I fit this thing in here. Look how close that dump valve is. But it ain't touching. So I clearanced it with the last transmission. I bet I had this motor and transmission in and out 10 times. Put it in here, it'd be touching, I'd pull it back out, hammer a little bit. But y'all are getting the easy part view of it. So just gotta put this back in now. So I'm just gonna pick up on it a little bit in the tail end. Oh, that was my elbow pop. Okay, so I got my second wind just now. Got that thing picked up there. So that's why I haven't bolted in yet. Everything's just floating around until I get everything ready to bolt in, like lined up. Because if I just, torque all my bolts up there down, then I couldn't move this where it needs to be. So, Rocky, look, right now ain't the time to be getting all affectionate and stuff, right? Just go on for a minute. Over there and click yourself and do your thing, Rocky, go on. Get. Alright, so now we gotta put these bolts in. Rocky, do not lick that. Oh, and he licked it. Oh my goodness, that's gross. Anyway, sorry, I'm sick. I got the flu, I think. Rocky, you're gonna get the flu now. So, these bolts in here. Check all my clearances on stuff. See all my fittings and everything. This thing. That dump valve kit just barely fit in here, but it fit. That's all that matters. So I got to come back now. I made all these quick connects for my transmission. If I ever need to pull it out, instead of it being hardwired, I can come back and just unclip everything. So I got to do the other end, like the car end. So I'm going to do that. Maybe not in this video, but in another video, I'll go over it. So. Alright, it's done now. That was the hardest one. Wise old man told me one time, I always start with the hardest one. And that way, the rest of them will be easy. Very wise old man told me that. So, just putting my flat washer and light washer on my nut. So if y'all haven't followed along through this video, you just found this part of it. It's kind of a series. Started out me talking about doing this, and then went on to showing me and the family pulling this thing out, and then I had to go through the transmission. I bought a used transmission, and I just was curious about it, so I pulled the pan, and it had a bunch of glitter in it. So the guy said it was fresh back from BTE, and it wasn't. He lied to me. So I went through it all the way through the transmission. I found a broke reverse pressure plate in the BTE Power Glide, and went ahead and replaced it. And the case was wore out in the reverse circuit, the reverse where the clutch steels ride in the case. They were bad, dug into the case, where it was probably the reason it broke it is because it was binding up. So I put in some case savers. I made a video on that and replaced that broke piece. And another reason I pulled the combo out was because my oil pan was cracked, and it was losing oil pressure launching. So I was gonna upgrade it anyways, and I ended up cracking it doing a wheelie. So it was a good thing it cracked it, because it made me go ahead and upgrade it before I damaged the engine. So I got a Moroso oil pan, welded in some turbo drains in it. I made a video over that too, and got it put on. We're putting it all back together, so y'all follow along, and hopefully we'll have this thing at the track before too long. Maybe we can bust off some pretty fast numbers. I'm kind of relatively new to drag racing, so everything I've learned, like everyone else, I've pretty much learned the hard way, I guess. So I didn't know that the oil pan was such a big deal, and it is. So if this is your first time building a drag car, go ahead and get a drag race style oil pan. Don't get one of those low profile LS swap oil pans if it's going to be a track car. Yeah, they got the turbo drains already in them and all, but they ain't made for drag racing. So the problem I was having with that low profile LS swap oil pan with the turbo drains already in it was that when I would launch the car, they did great until I was, you know, in some good prep. I would launch the car, and the oil pressure would drop way down, like from like 70 to like 40, up until about half track, and then it would start picking back up. And I did my research on it, and I haven't tested this new combo with this drag race style oil pan yet, but pretty sure that all the oil was, you know, moving away from the pickup, is what I've heard. So I will let you guys know, though, or let you know if you're the only one watching, that if that fixes the problem. I got a pretty good feeling that that problem's going away doing this. So, and comment on this. You see how I'm doing this? I got this sandwiched. Got my front plate here sandwiched right there. So far that's held up great. Probably not the best thing in the world, but it's all I could figure out at the time, and I ain't had any problems with it. So I'm gonna run it again. now I can tighten those up. Sorry for jumping around so much. I have a way I like to do things, and this worked for me, doing it like that. I don't get ahead of myself. So a lot of people I've worked around, I drive them crazy because I'm all over the place. They, you know, they can't stand it because I don't finish one thing and go to another. I like to jump around. I'll start something over here, and then I'll leave, and I'll go over here for a little bit, and get about halfway done there, and then I'll go back to the other thing. And then about halfway done with that, I'll start something new. And I never finish what I was, you know, started, and I try to collaborate everything together and make one final product all at one time at the end. They never understand my reasoning. And I don't like it, man. I don't either, really. I don't get why I do it, but I do. Okay, so we're under the car. I wanted to show you this. I bought these from Motion Raceworks. They're you mount it to where your original motor plates were. You can see it's adjustable. It's, you know, you can clock it this way or that way. It comes with these. They're loose, and you these little tabs on your frame. So you connect it, and then you weld the ends. But I just wanted to show you all this because if you're running plates, you don't have to run this, but I recommend it because, and it makes a lot of sense, when you launch the car, those plates, they don't have very much back and forth reinforcement. They're strong twisting sideways, but as far as being strong back and forth, like that motor might be moving back and forth an inch, and if it moves back an inch and you've only got an inch of, you know, play in your drive shaft or whatever, it's gonna slam that yoke up into the end of your tail housing and it's gonna damage stuff. So, or it could go the other way and slide out, and if you slam on the brakes real hard, you know, you don't really want it moving around, is what I'm saying. So these right here are a pretty good idea. They probably help hold everything even more rigid. You know, you want this rigid. So it's just some extra support in here. If you're gonna go the mile, go the extra mile. So just gonna put these in here now. One more. They say you can get away with just using one, but I'm gonna do two. I did two. And with these adjustable rod ends, you can actually preload it one way or the other. So I tend to just run them neutral. I mean, it ain't gonna move much, so. All right, got that tight. I'm gonna tighten this side. Now I'm gonna set them to neutral. So, right there. Tighten up my jam nuts. There we go. Tighten this side up. Set it to neutral. And what I mean by neutral is it ain't tight either way. It's just, see how it's wiggly? So that's neutral. Well, y'all, that's gonna wrap it up on this one. We got the motor and transmission back in the Nova, and one step closer to getting rid of the track. So appreciate you watching. Y'all have a good day.